And we're going to wait just a moment or two as we have members trickling in here. We'll give everybody a chance to get in here and then we'll get the meeting started. All right. Hello, fellow Rotarians. My name is Reed Miller, and I am your president of the Rotary Club of Portland. Welcome to our weekly membership meeting. I will now ask that you all join me in reciting the four-way test. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, Skylar. And at this time, I'd ask any Rotarians who have invited a guest to please raise your hand so that you can introduce your guest to the club. If you are a visiting Rotarian who came on your own, please raise your hand and introduce yourself, or let us know that you're here in the chat box. Catherine, I see your hand up. We'll jump over to you.
Thanks, Reed. Hi, everyone. Catherine Kennedy, Rotarian. Really excited to introduce Raven Walsh today. Raven is the Director of Data and Major Projects at Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Center. Here almost 10 years, current member of the Westland Club, former president of the Seaside Club. And we're really lucky because for our spotlight on the Homelessness Solutions Committee this month, she's going to give an update about the exciting things happening at Bitey Lakes. Thanks, Raven.
Hi, everybody.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, and we'll be hearing more from Raven here shortly. But thank you both for joining us today. We're very excited to have you, and you are certainly welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you as a guest anytime. And of course, thank you to all of our members for joining us here today for another Zoom meeting. I want to start out by saying thank you to Maria Schell for stepping in to lead the meeting last week. I was out of town on business and unable to attend the meeting, but I heard great reviews and wanted to shout out Maria for doing a great job and stepping up to serve in a moment of need. So thank you so much to Maria. And here we are, a couple of days away from Thanksgiving. As another year flies by, this is the perfect time to reflect on our lives and everything we have to be grateful for. We all come from different walks of life and have different situations. However, we're all here because we're fortunate enough and able to. That in itself is more than enough to be grateful for. I want to take this opportunity to share how grateful I am to be here serving our community alongside each of you. You're an incredible collection of people, and I feel very fortunate to be able to call you my friends. We're lucky. What would be really lucky is if we were back doing this in person, which is exactly what we're aiming to do by the first of the year. Both the leadership team and our board of directors agree that we need to do whatever we can to get back to in-person meetings. And of course, we want to do so safely and in a comfortable manner so that our members feel comfortable doing so. But that's exactly what we're aiming to do. And as the only large club out of 50 in the country that is not meeting in person, it's time that we make that happen. We're still working on the details, but I want to continue to communicate with our members so that you all understand what we're working on and the direction that we're headed in. That said, I'd like to take this moment now to recognize all of the Rotarians in our club who joined in the month of November. I want to wish a happy Rotary anniversary to all of our November Rotarians. And let's take a look at Tom Kelly and Brian Rosenthal, 30 to 40 years. Again, those could be members that have been members of our Rotary Club in Portland longer than I have been on the face of this earth. Shout out to them. So let's remember to recognize our longest tenured members. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, all of our Rotarians with anniversaries in the month of November. And on that note, I'm going to hand it off to our Vice President, Maria Schell, who will be giving a quick update on our annual Trust Drive. Maria, welcome.
Thank you, President Reed. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to make this short and sweet since I'm looking at all of your lovely faces, who many of you have already made your contributions to this year's annual Trust Drive. Just wanted to share a reminder of what we do every year. We try to make all of our asks for your philanthropic contributions to be in a short time window. So from November 1st to January 31st, this is when we're looking at you to say, what would you like to do to contribute to Rotary to help really give the work into the hands of our committees who are out there supporting not only our Portland community, but many of the great things that they're doing all around the globe. So what I'd love is that you'll see a link coming here from Skylar. You're also going to see it in the water cooler, that's the name of my newsletter at work, sorry, Spokes. You're going to see it in Spokes every week. If you are thinking about what it would be to make a meaningful gift, we would really appreciate you all to have that conversation with your family and make your gift as soon as you can. We're going to start also, if we haven't heard from you, we've been emailing, but we're going to start coming here in December. There's a wonderful trusty group of 10 Rotarians who've agreed to pick up the phone and call around. If you would like to also do some calling for us, you can always let me know, but we really sincerely appreciate your giving and support of the Rotary Club and our goal of $160,000. We are going to make it. I know we're going to get there. So thank you for every little bit along the way. Back to you, Reed.
All righty. Thank you so much, Maria. Round of applause for the hard work that she's doing. We all appreciate it very much. She does a wonderful job. The Trust Drive is not an easy lift, but she continues to do so with a smile on her face and doing a wonderful job. So thank you so much, Maria. I've been there. You're doing a great job. And now I would like to welcome Rotarian past president Danielle Banks, who will be presenting this week's reflection. Thank you and welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. Thank you, President Reed. Well, many of you may remember Penny Legate. Penny is now doing media consultancy, but when she visited our club in July of 2012 as a news anchor in Seattle, she left us with this thought, and I quote, "Hope never travels alone," end quote. So this week, let's be grateful. Smile at everyone. Think of the houseless and the underprivileged. And then let's lead the way with Thanksgiving, maybe in some turkey, because hope never travels alone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And to anybody else, if you are interested in giving a reflection in the future, please reach out to Susan Cooksey to set up a date and schedule your reflection. We could always use additional contributions there. Her email is twonavycaptains@gmail.com and will be dropped into the chat. There it is. Thank you, Skylar. And thank you, Danielle, for that reflection. That was a nice little thinker, right on theme, as always. I appreciate it very much. And now at this time, I'd like to welcome Rotarian Catherine Kennedy of the Homelessness Solutions Committee. Welcome for a quick update.
Thank you, President Reed. And I'm going to really quickly toss it over to Raven. Once again, Raven Walsh is joining us today, Director of Data and Major Projects at Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Center. And I'm really excited for her to give us an update about what's happening up at Bybee Lakes. Really exciting work, some of which has been supported by our committee, the Homelessness Solutions Committee, with a small grant earlier just this year. So thank you, Raven, for joining us.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see a few familiar faces here. Like was mentioned, I'm a Rotarian myself, but I've had the privilege of being the project lead for transforming the old Wapato property into what is now called the Bybee Lakes Hope Center. And we just celebrated last month, 1 year in operation there, and we're wrapping up our renovation to expand our bed space capacity. So I'm really excited about that. We have 126 beds right now that are available for the homeless. But as of January 1st, we will have 318 beds. So almost tripling the capacity there. And it is very much needed. We are almost at capacity. Our family dorm is full. We've got over a dozen kids running around there, and it really just changes the whole atmosphere. And it's really special to have so many kiddos running around, especially over the holidays. So it's been really wonderful there. People making great changes, celebrating sobriety milestones, celebrating getting identification and getting jobs, and working on personal goals. And it's really, truly just been a wonderful time. So your club gave us an $800 grant, and that was unrestricted to the Bybee Lakes Hope Center. So what we do with unrestricted funds that come in for a specific location is we typically put those toward our scholarship program. Folks that are in the long-term program with us pay membership dues of $250 a month. And we fundraise for scholarships to be able to help people that are just coming into the program for the first 30 days or the first 60 days, depending on their financial circumstances individually. And so you guys provided a little over 3 of those scholarships to help people that are just coming in from the emergency shelter, making the leap to decide to really work toward reentry. So thank you so much for your support. It's incredibly meaningful. It makes the participants feel like the community really cares and is engaged with them and is partnering with them to help lift them up out of poverty and making that big change. So that's a really quick update. I know we only have a couple of minutes, but I will put my email address in the chat just in case. I usually have a ton of questions that people have for me. So feel free to shoot me an email and I'm really happy to answer. We can even set up a Teams call to chat about things like I did with Catherine last week. So I always love talking about this project with fellow Rotarians because you guys really understand the heart for service and what it means to be part of somebody else's journey. So I'll end here, but feel free to email me and just let me know you're a Rotarian, and I would love to set aside some time for you.
All right, thank you so much, Raven, and thank you, Skylar, for connecting her with all of our members if they have any questions or follow up there. Loved hearing about the great work going on there, Raven. Thank you so much for everything you all are doing. We do have a couple minutes here. If anybody has any questions for Raven, I'm happy to open that up. We can spend a couple minutes answering questions if anybody has any. Otherwise, we'll just keep on rolling. Does anybody have any quick questions for Raven? If you want to raise your hand, unmute, shout out. Terry, hit me with it, Terry.
Hi, Raven. Thank you for your service as a Rotarian and with Bybee Lakes. Super excited to see this project continue to develop. How many families are you currently assisting, and how many individuals are you currently assisting as they transition or work to transition from houselessness to something more stable?
That's a great question. So we have right now, I think the census this morning at Bybee was 92 individuals. It fluctuates daily because we offer both emergency shelter and our long-term program. So the way that works is folks are referred in. We've trained over 75 local referring partners in trauma-informed care so that they can make that referral to us. And then they come into the emergency shelter, get to know us, have a couple days to decompress and sleep, and then move into the long-term program if that's something that they're interested in. And so we have, I believe it's 12 families right now that are in there, plus, kiddos in each of those units. And then we have a bunch of individuals too. And some of those individuals are also working to gain custody back of their kids. So we've been approved by DHS and CASA as a site where folks can come to have visits for long-term. So we've been having some additional kiddos in for like long weekends and stuff. So it's a little complicated, but that's an answer. And it's good to see you, Terry. Chris, did you have a question for me?
Yes, I did. So you've been in operation for a year. How many people have you, if you will, graduated? How many people have gone through the program and transitioned? And what do you know of their trajectory once they left you?
That's a great question. So we've served over 500 unique individuals at the Bybee Lakes Hope Center in our first year. I haven't pulled those stats again since about a month ago, so it'll be more than that by now. But some of those folks do not actually enroll in the long-term program. We have about 60% of people decide that they're ready for the long-term program. which requires sobriety, and it requires them attending life skills classes and working with a case manager and connecting to resources and doing some community service as well, because we think it's really important for people to give back and to develop a community partnership. And so, like I said, about 60% actually enroll in the long-term program. And we still have folks that enrolled about a year ago, and because of the housing situation in the Portland community and because of their need for connecting to more services, they're just about ready to graduate. So I know we've celebrated dozens of graduations, but I'm not sure exactly what the number is off the top of my head.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Raven. I appreciate that. And thanks for taking the time to answer a couple of questions there. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Chris, for those good questions. And we'll just keep this rolling. It's time for our breakout rooms now with a few of your fellow Rotarians. When you enter the breakout room, please introduce yourselves to the others in the group. As always, you're more than welcome to chat openly with your fellow Rotarians. But if you need an icebreaker, today's table topic will be Thanksgiving and any favorite traditions or favorite foods. And I recognize this holiday means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And I think it's interesting to share those perspectives and where we come from and what this means to us. So remember, the point of this breakout room is to give you all the opportunity to socialize with your fellow Rotarians, like we will soon be able to in our upcoming in-person meetings. Get out there, have some fun, chat with your fellow Rotarians, and we'll see you back here in about 8 minutes.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
All right, welcome back. I hope you all had great conversations in your breakout rooms and enjoyed the opportunity to interact with your fellow Rotarians. And I'd like to now welcome back Angel Pilato as your chair of the day.
Thank you, Reed. Today, I'm happy to introduce Vaughn Lai-DuMone. She is the founder and creative strategist for Work-Mart Advantage. It's a team and leadership development organization where she uses creativity as a primary teaching tool. She studied psychology at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and earned her MBA from Pepperdine. She brings more than 15 years corporate and startup experience to game-changing clients like Google, LinkedIn, and Pandora. Vaughn has given TED Talks, and we're going to hear one of them today. And she has a wonderful story of how curiosity led her refugee mom and 19 other women to start and sustain a multi-billion-dollar manicure industry. Vaughn came to the U.S. as a very young refugee with her father, who was a colonel in the South Vietnamese Army, and her mother. They settled in Los Angeles, where she still lives with her husband, her 8-year-old son, and their 3 rescue dogs. She rejuvenates herself and gets inspired through paddleboarding and painting. In addition to her professional work as a consultant, Vaughn is active in supporting the veteran community through her work with the Honor Foundation and the Angels 14 leadership group. We're both members of that group, and that's how I met Dawn. You're going to enjoy her talk today. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Vaughn.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Angel, for that kind introduction. I very much appreciate it. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is this concept that curiosity can be powerful and life-changing. And the reason we talk about curiosity is this idea that it can create possibilities for ourselves and for others. So I'm going to start by telling you a story about red nail polish and how red nail polish once sparked a curiosity that would lead to the now $8.3 billion manicure industry in the United States. An industry that's dominated by Vietnamese Americans, 59% across the country and 80% here in California. So by a show of hands, or maybe type in the chat box, how many of you have ever had your nails done or know of a Vietnamese manicurist? Yep, a few of you there, absolutely. And have you ever been curious as to why there are so many Vietnamese manicurists in the United States? So that's the story, yes. So that's the story I'm going to share with you today. So what if I told you that the Vietnamese manicure industry all started with curiosity? The curiosity of 20 Vietnamese refugee women and their chance meeting with a Hollywood movie star. Sounds like I wrote it and made it up, but I didn't. So to tell you the story, I had to go all the way back to April 29th, 1975, in what was then Saigon, Vietnam. It was 5 days before my second birthday. And the date also marks the emergency evacuation of all US troops from Vietnam and their heroic attempts to evacuate as many Vietnamese counterparts and civilians as they could in less than 36 hours during the fall of Saigon. So my dad was a lieutenant colonel in the South Vietnamese Air Force. And on that date, April 29th, 1975, he went to work and was told, it's over. Go home and get your family out of the country any way you can. So he came home to the Air Force base and told my mom, we need to leave now. So they grabbed their 3 children, my 16-year-old aunt who happened to be spending the night that night, and my grandfather who lived with us. And we fled our country and left everything else behind. And as tragic as that was, we were part of the fortunate ones who found a way out, and we were the first wave of Vietnamese refugees to enter the United States, a country who welcomed us with open arms. Our first home here was at Camp Pendleton Marine Base in San Diego. And here, service men and women helped us in our transition into our new home in our new country. One woman who was a teenager at the time later went on to write that when she stepped off the bus at Camp Pendleton, a Marine greeted her. And her native language of Vietnamese, he said to her, welcome to your new country. I hope you feel safe here. These men and women built tents for 18,000 refugees in over the course of 36 hours. They donated their spare time to teach us, play with us, and comfort us. And I will always be immensely grateful. We were at Camp Pendleton for a few months. And after that, we were transferred to a refugee integration center up in Northern California called Hope Village, just outside Sacramento. And it was run by an organization called Food for the Hungry. And here, hundreds of volunteers came to continue to help us in our transition. And it's here that those 20 Vietnamese refugee women met that Hollywood movie star, building a relationship that would make of all things, manicures, a part of the Vietnamese American story. And among those 20 women was my 27-year-old mom, a mother of 3, a former English teacher, and the wife to a lieutenant general in the Air Force. But that was all gone now. She needed to find a new identity in this new country. And that Hollywood movie star, actress Tippi Hedren, most famously known for her starring role in Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. So Tippi was a volunteer at Hope Village, and she wanted to help the women like my mom find a new career in their new country. And she was determined to help these women who had lost everything. So she wanted to find them a skill so they could contribute to the livelihood of their families. So she started this program that made typing and sewing classes available to these women, because those were skills that were fairly easy to learn and they had a low barrier of entry. But something else caught the attention and the curiosity of my mom and her friends. And that was Tippi's long red manicured nails, as you can see slightly here in this picture. And back then, manicures were nowhere nearly as common as they are now. They were a luxury reserved for the wealthy and for movie stars, and clearly not something these Vietnamese women were often exposed to. And they were curious. And it's that curiosity that led Tippi to ask, well, what if? What if we could actually get these women trained and licensed as manicurists? And that question actually came with a couple of obstacles. For example, beauty school costs money, and these women had none. And becoming a licensed manicurist required them to pass a written test in English when most of these women only spoke Vietnamese. But Tippy, she didn't pay attention to the impossibilities of those challenges. What she chose to focus on was the curiosity of those 20 women and all the possibilities that came with that question, well, what if? So Walt Disney once said, ideas come from curiosity. And I believe that our curiosity is intuitive. We are each led to be curious about certain things because we're meant to follow those curiosities to create possibilities for ourselves and for others. And one way to follow your curiosity is to simply ask the question, what if? So innovation expert Warren Berger, and he's the author, proposes that we can come up with better ideas, fresh perspectives, and better results by asking questions such as, what if? So he wrote a book called A More Beautiful Question, and I want to share two stories in his book with you today. So one is about Tim Westergren, who was a musician, who just kind of started wondering why people like certain types of music. And he asked simply, well, what if we could map the DNA of music and stream songs to people that they naturally enjoy? And through this inquiry, Westergren started Pandora Music, the online music streaming app. I actually use Spotify, but Pandora is an option as well. And he also writes about, Berger also writes about a German entrepreneur named Frederick Reichheim, who came to Chicago and took note of Americans' obsession with peanuts, popcorn, and candy. And he asked, well, what if we combined the three? And now what we have is Cracker Jacks, very thankfully. So these are just two examples of how following curiosity led to new possibilities. And the beauty of curiosity is that you don't have to be a movie star, a talented musician, or a serial entrepreneur to have it and to follow it. You can also be a Vietnamese refugee who's lost everything except your curiosity. So for these 20 women, it was their curiosity around Tippy's long red manicured nails that led Tippy to ask, what if? And then what Tippy did was she just started taking these small steps. The first small step Tippy took was to invite her local manicurists and personal manicurists from Los Angeles to come up to Hope Village weekend after weekend to teach these women how to do a basic manicure. And Dusty, a single mom who owned her own little beauty school, her own little salon here, said yes. So weekend after weekend, Dusty came up and taught my mom and her friends how to do a basic manicure. And they loved it and they were good at it and they had fun, but it didn't make them licensed manicurists. So Tippy thought, well, what's next? What's the next small step? So she went down to the local beauty school and asked them if they would be willing to take on these 20 Vietnamese women as students, although they had no money to pay tuition and most of them didn't speak English. Citrus Heights Beauty College also said yes. Psychologist Dr. Robert Maurer, one of my mentors and author of One Small Step Can Change Your Life, suggests that by taking small steps, we can reach our goals faster than when we attempt giant leaps. And it's based on neuroscience, because when we take small steps, we can bypass the brain's natural instinct to protect us. And that's triggered in a part of our brain called the amygdala. I call it the bodyguard. When we take these giant leaps forward, what happens is we wake up that bodyguard, we wake up that amygdala and we trigger it, which sends us into a fight or flight mode, causing us to experience resistance, which is going to either slow us down or stop us altogether. So so it's really hard to reach our goals if we're constantly facing resistance and stopping ourselves. But through small steps, what that does is it allows us to tiptoe around that bodyguard, tiptoe around that amygdala, and avoid resistance, allowing us to reach our goals faster by taking one small step at a time. So through following their curiosity, that question, what if, and by taking small steps, my mom and her friends became the first 20 licensed Vietnamese manicurists in the United States. So soon after that happened, Hope Village closed. That's my family there, my mama and my sister, my brother and I. So when Hope Village closed, we were sponsored by a church in Santa Monica. So we left Hope Village to start our new life. My mom with her brand new manicure license in one hand and a letter of recommendation from Tippy Hedren in the other. Soon she found her first job at a little salon in West LA called Beau Jacques Beauty Salon, very 70s and 80s, I would say about that, in LA. So she took 2 buses to get to work every day. And at first I saw her struggle. She still tells the story about just sitting there all day long, and she made $5. She was happy. And then I watched her become a capable and competent entrepreneur who significantly contributed to her family's income. We moved from our 1-bedroom apartment to a 4-bedroom condo. And then within 6 years, my parents purchased their own home, their American dream. It was the waves of Vietnamese refugees who came after us, who learned about the profession from my mom and her friends, and their friends from them, prompting thousands of Vietnamese refugees and immigrants over the past 4 decades to continue to ask, what if? What if we open our own nail salons? What if we manufacture the supplies we need? What if we opened up our own beauty schools? The sum of these what ifs amounts to over 100,000 Vietnamese men and women being able to provide for their families. It also amounts to the Vietnamese community contributing significantly to the manicure industry as we see it today. With 59% of manicurists across the country being Vietnamese, as I mentioned before, and 80% here in California. And like I said in the beginning, it is now an $8.3 billion industry. So this is my family's personal story, and is a story also about possibilities. The possibilities that are created when one woman steps up to empower another woman, the ripple effect that is created from one act of kindness, and the possibilities created when you and I follow our curiosity, ask what if, and have the courage to take one small step forward. This is a picture from 6 years ago when my son was 2 years old, the same age I was when we fled Vietnam. I had the privilege to attend the 40th year anniversary of Hope Village with him, where my mom reunited with Tippy and some of the 20 original women she trailblazed this industry with. And it made me realize how far our curiosity had taken her, them, and me. So I want to share with you a little bit about where curiosity has led me. So it's led me to multiple careers in a variety of fields. Now that was not my mom's plan, clearly, to teach me about curiosity. So I just bounced around, but that happened. And I found myself somewhere really good. It also led me to a 30-day bicycle ride through Vietnam when I asked myself, well, what if I rode my bicycle through Vietnam and raised money for an organization to help some of the people that didn't make it out like we did? It also led me to live in Belgium to study international business while I was in business school. It also led me to a few disappointing ex-boyfriends because, you know, curiosity doesn't always work out for us. And I know Angel knows a little bit about that. It also led me onto the TEDx stage. And it led me to my career now, where I get to work with businesses and companies to help them tap into their curiosity and their creativity to create possibilities, new ideas, and new innovations for their teams. And most proudly, my curiosity has led me to the Honor Foundation. Angel mentioned a little bit earlier today. The Honor Foundation is a program for Special Force operators transitioning from military to civilian careers. We have a graduate from the program with us today, Jay Lee, my friend here is here today. And without getting into the whole story, through my curiosity, I connected with the Vice President of Programming for the Honor Foundation about 2 years ago. And I've been bringing my work and using creativity to explore possibilities for their future ever since, particularly in their program in San Diego, a program that exists 20 miles down the road from Camp Pendleton, my first home here in the United States. And it's an honor for me to serve these men and women in their transition as they served us in ours all those years ago. So if there's one thing that my work has taught me, is that we are all creative and we are all curious, regardless of socioeconomic status, education, or position in the workplace, because we all have innate curiosity and creativity. There's a saying that curiosity is the most powerful thing you own. And for these 20 women, that proved to be true. So I'm going to leave it with, I wonder what foreseeable and unforeseeable possibilities you might be able to create for yourself and for others when you follow your curiosity, ask what if, and take small steps forward. With that, I'm just going to finish with a note of gratitude. It is Thanksgiving coming up. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share this story, to speak to your Rotary group and share my family story and this theme of hopefulness, and that we can each follow our own curiosities, create very unique opportunities for ourselves and for others. And a special thank you, of course, to Angel, who served during the Vietnam War. And through our curiosities, we found ourselves somehow participating in a group called Angels 14, a community of veterans and allies. And that's how we met. And that's why I get to be here with you today. And that's just one more piece of evidence that following your curiosity leads to good things. So thank you, grateful to be here, and happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you so much, Vaughn. That was an incredible presentation. I loved every minute of it. Thank you so much for being here today. And if we have any questions, now is the time. Please raise your hand or let us know in the chat box. Do we have any questions for Vaughn? We do have just a few minutes here. All right, looks like Mr. Al Jubitz with a question. Vaughn, when the time is right, I hope you consider becoming a Rotarian. Passport to the world and to service above self. And I second that. Absolutely, Al. Thank you for that. Any other questions out there?
Looks like there's two other ones in the chat box. Chris asked if you speak Vietnamese and French.
I studied French in high school, so I speak a little bit. What's so interesting is I just started to study Vietnamese because I understand it fairly fluently, but when my parents came here, they both spoke English, and they, back then they just wanted me to assimilate. So even though they spoke to me in Vietnamese, they had me speak back in English. And what's curious, like way back then, and like when we came here, we had no idea what the future would hold, right? Like, will we ever get to go back to Vietnam again? Will we ever have a relationship with Vietnam? And what sparked me to start studying Vietnamese is after 40 something years now, I'm actually facilitating for some companies in Vietnam now. They all speak English, but I want to speak Vietnamese to them. So I'm on Rosetta Stone currently learning Vietnamese.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And another one from Major Bob Lloyd. Is your TED Talk on the same subject? I'd love to hear more.
Yes, it's called What If? The Life-Changing Power of Curiosity and Courage. And I will find it right now and put a link into the chat for you.
You're the best. Thank you so much, Fawn. And I see Patsy has her hand up. Do you have a question?
Let me unmute first. I'm often seeing that curiosity is considered a core competency for future leaders. So I'm wondering, tying this back into your current career, how we can support curiosity in our organizations.
So I would highly recommend, I think it's so true, the idea of creativity and curiosity. In terms of leadership, I think it's really important for leaders to embrace this concept of just get curious, right? As leaders, we don't need to know all the answers anymore. So I would say the best way to do that is question asking. That book I mentioned, Warren Berger's book, A More Beautiful Question, is a great starting point. He teaches leaders to ask, like, well, what if? Right? And not just ask yourself in your own head, but get a group of people together, get a group of people you wouldn't even bring together from different departments, and have them help you innovate and problem solve by asking what if, or how might I, or how might we?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yvonne and Leslie, I see you have your hand up. You have a question?
I have actually, I don't know how much of a question it is, but so in my career, I did a lot of facilitation and training around conflict, workplace conflict and conflict resolution, and had a big focus on curiosity as a tool for preventing conflict. Because if you go to curiosity first, you don't jump into that reactive mode. So I love your topic, and curiosity is such a powerful tool in so many directions. So thank you for sharing it.
I share a story around that because I 100% agree, Leslie. So there's a there's a survey you can do. It's called the VIA Character Strengths Survey. And when I did it, my top 2 character strengths and values are curiosity and creativity. And I'm a reactive person. So, so I will tell you, like I received this email about 6 months ago from an acquaintance of mine it was very much a mansplaining email, if you know what I mean. And my initial reaction would have been to womansplain it back to him in 3 or 4 pages. But I went back to my character strength of curiosity and creativity, and I simply wrote back to him, I felt that was inappropriate. I'm curious why you would write that to me. And it opened up a conversation. So I agree with that for sure. In terms of conflict, just get curious rather than, what is Dave from Angels 14, Angel and Jay would say, get curious, not furious.
Oh, nice. Good one. Good one. Thank you.
I love it. What a powerful tool. Does anybody else have any questions before we move forward here? And going once, going twice. Thank you, Vaughn. We're going to close things out here. And next week, we'll be meeting right here back on Zoom at noon on Tuesday, November 30th. Next week's presentation will be from Jay Ward, who is joining us from the Energy Trust of Oregon. Please don't forget, if you have a speaker idea, please reach out to Dev Dion, who is the chair of our program committee. We are always looking for great program ideas, and our programs depend on our members providing them. Okay, thank you so much to our guests for joining us today. Raven, you're more than welcome back anytime. Big thank you to Daniil for today's thoughtful and timely reflection. Remember, hope does not travel alone. Thank you again to today's chair of the day, Angel. And of course, thank you so much to Vaughn for your presentation today. What an amazing story, but more than that, what an incredible presentation. I love how you tied everything together. Curiosity, small steps, and what if. So simple, but so huge. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Lastly, I'd like to thank everybody behind the scenes that help our programs run so smoothly. Thank you so much to Skylar. Thank you to Carol. Thank you to everybody else that contributes to this production. And most importantly, thank you to all of our committee chairs and to our members for everything that you do all throughout the year. As we close today's meeting, let's all remember why we're here. We serve to change lives. Let's continue to focus on the lives that we change and continue to step up and to do the right thing. Thanks again for joining. This meeting is adjourned.